The Pokemon Company have gone crazy these past few days, revealing a whole bunch of cards that are going to appear in our upcoming Twilight Masquerade set. So today, let's take a couple of minutes to look at some of the most noteworthy cards that are coming soon. I'm Jeff from inthirdperson.com. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and yeah, get some popcorn. We've got a lot of cards to look at. One of the most noteworthy reveals in this set is the introduction of Ogerpon EX. Now, in the Mask of Change DLC, there's this Pokemon, it has different masks, it can change its types, and the way the Pokemon Company have done it is kind of interesting. We have 4 different Ogerpon EX cards: Grass, Fire, Water, and Fighting. They have different moves. And then we got a Ogre's Mask item card, which lets you switch between an Ogerpon in the active and an Ogerpon in the discard pile. So you can just, it's kind of like Thornton, where you switch your Pokemon from the discard pile into whatever is in play. However, this is an item card. You don't have to burn your supporter for it, and this only works for Ogerpon EX. There is a non-EX Ogerpon that we're going to look at in a little bit, but right now you can only switch between these 4. And I guess if there's more Ogerpon that they release in the future, it could also synergize with this Ogre's Mask card. Theoretically, with this item card, we could build a deck just solely around Ogerpon. I'm not sure if there's enough synergy between the 4 cards to really make an Ogerpon box deck work, but yeah, let's go look at them. Teal Mask Ogerpon is a grass type with 210 HP, and it has the ability Teal Dance, where once during your turn, you can attach a basic grass energy card from your hand to this Pokemon, and you can also draw a card if you attach an energy this way. So energy acceleration, nice. And then its Myriad Leaf Shower move for 3 grass energy does 30 damage and 30 more damage for each energy attached to both active Pokemon. Not a particularly strong attack. This will one-shot a Charizard EX a Tera Charizard EX if they've got 2 energy already on there. But other than that, this is not doing so great in terms of damage output. I see its value for energy acceleration, especially since the other ones have attacks that are colorless, and we could subsidize that with grass. As an attacker, this is kind of mid. I think that we will be using this for its ability though, and we could use energy switches to move it to other attackers. We could use something like an Iron Leaves, where its ability lets you absorb energy when you move to the active, and we could also use this on other Ogerpon. So you start accelerating energy with the grass Ogerpon and then switch to another one. So that's totally possible with this as sort of your starter, but as an attacker, it's not so great in most scenarios. Hearthflame Mask Ogerpon is the fire one, and we can already see kind of the synergy between the grass one and the fire one. We do have 2 colorless cost in that Wrathful Hearth attack. Still need a fire though. This attack does 20 damage for each damage counter on this Pokemon, so you're gonna have to be able to tank at least an attack, but there's so many decks in the meta that can just do 210 damage no problem that I just don't feel like you're going to be able to use this move more often than not. I guess you could, add some sort of health modifier like a Hero's Cape or a Bravery Charm to try and take a hit. It still feels a little too awkward to use this attack. And then Dynamic Blaze is 3 fire energy, so now we're gonna have to run fire energy as well. Does 140 damage, and if the opposing Pokemon is an evolution Pokemon, you do 140 more damage, but you have to discard all the energy. So against basic Pokemon and smaller Pokemon, basic Pokemon, 140 is fine. However, having to discard the energy feels really bad against evolution Pokemon, though 280 damage is very nice. You are going to be one-shotting Vs and V-Stars. You're going to be taking out basic and stage 1, most stage 1 EXs as well. Really nice amount of damage, but you're going to have to discard all that energy against those evolution Pokemon. So, and I guess against the basic EXs, you're still only doing 140 damage. So that kind of sucks. Like, it's a little too awkward to me, IMO. Wellspring Mask Ogerpon EX is the water type, and it's got first attack Sob for 1 colorless, does 20 damage, and during your opponent's next turn, the defending Pokemon can't retreat. This can be good for stalling for time. The 20 damage is a little awkward because eventually you're probably going to knock something out, so I don't know if you can trap anything in the active forever, but this is going to be very annoying against certain decks that just don't run switch cards. And then the second attack, Torrential Pump, for 1 water and 2 colorless. Again, we could be using the grass one to accelerate energy before we switch into the water one, but this does 100 damage, and you can shuffle 3 energy, attach this Pokemon into your deck, and if you do, also does 120 damage to one of your opponent's bench Pokemon. This is sort of a better, it's kind of like a slightly worse Delphox. I see a lot of people talk about Radiant Greninja, which does 90-90, but you can pick your targets with Greninja. This one of those has to be the active, which does make it a little worse, but 100 and 120 are decent numbers for sniping, and there will be scenarios where this is a better Radiant Greninja, at least for the snipe attack, just being able to do more damage, especially if you are doing meaningful damage to the active. Now, you are dropping 2 prizes with this, which is a little unfortunate, and you have to shuffle all the energy back into the deck, but I do see some applications for this card. Cornerstone Mask Ogerpon is my favorite of the bunch. Its Demolish attack is 140 Shred, going through all effects of attacks. Unfortunately, it also ignores weakness and resistance, so you're not going to be able to one-shot Arceus V-Star, unfortunately, with this. However, its ability, Cornerstone Stance, lets you prevent all damage done to this Pokemon by your opponent's Pokemon that have an ability. This sort of is like the effective attack from Vulpix V-Star. However, this is just a basic Pokemon, and it's on all the time. You don't have to do the attack in order to activate that effect. You just have this on all the time. And there are going to be decks that cannot hit this thing at all, and you will just auto-win with Cornerstone Mask Ogerpon. So kind of an interesting card, even if its attack is not great. You have to find fighting energy now too, but I do see this as seeing at least a bit of play and could be experimented with. I think all of these cards could see like a little bit of experimentation individually. I don't know if this is good enough as its own deck. I know we have the item card to switch between them, but then the energy synergy is not so great. Yeah, the Ogerpon, the grass one, can accelerate some of that, but then you have to have fire energy. You're gonna have to have luminous energy in here as well. The attacks feel like they don't quite all line up, and yes, you are gonna be hitting weakness in certain cases, but I'm not sure that just as a concept in and of itself of the Ogerpon deck, I'm not sure these are good enough, and even standalone, I'm not sure these are good enough cards. But it's a neat concept, and maybe there'll be future Ogerpon that make this better. But I feel like there's a little too much going on that also isn't quite good enough. Let me know if I'm looking at this wrong. But I think these are okay, but I don't quite see the power here. We also got a non-EX Teal Mask Ogerpon, 110 HP. Its first attack, Mountain Scroll for 1 colorless. Search your deck for up to 2 basic energy cards, reveal them and put them into your hand. Then shuffle your deck. Gathering energy, not bad as a first attack, going second if you've got nothing else going on. This is probably going to get knocked out right after though. And then its Ogre Comeback attack for 1 grass and a colorless does 20 damage. Plus this attack does 20 more damage for each of your opponent's bench Pokemon. So doing 120 for 2, it's not that great. Greninja EX was a card teased a little while back, and now we finally get to see it, and I think it was worth the wait. Its first attack for 1 water energy, Ninja Blade, does 170 damage, and you can search your deck for any 1 card and put it into your hand, then shuffle your deck. 170 damage for 1 energy is really good. We are going to be knocking out stuff like a Squawkabilly or a Lumineon V. And then on top of that, getting 1 other card that can help us set up on the following turn is really nice. Yes, we could get Iono'd or judged that card away, but still 170 for 1 is really good damage, and we could run some Professor Turo scenario shenanigans to kind of heal off this Greninja and then go in with a second one and also hit for 170, so a cool combo there. And then its second attack for 1 water and 2 colorless, Duplicate's Barrage. You discard 2 energy from this Pokemon. This attack does 120 damage to 2 of your opponent's Pokemon. This is Rapid Strike Urshifu, but better in the sense that you are only discarding 2 energy and not 3 like Rapid Strike Urshifu. Now, the trade-off here, like both of these attacks, awesome. The problem here is that Greninja EX is a stage 2 Pokemon, and getting stage 2 set up is a little problematic. but the attacks are really good here, and I want to believe this is going to be great. Going along with that Greninja EX is a new Froakie. For one, I love Yukimori's art. He actually does all of these pictures with clay. He makes the Pokemon with clay, which is awesome. But this one has the first attack, Flock, where you get to search your deck for up to 2 Froakie, put them on your bench, then shuffle your deck. So this is a great Froakie and the go-to Froakie going forward. Frogadier is not bad either. For 1 water energy, Numbing Water does 20 damage, and you get paralysis on a coin flip. Shoutouts to Pokekabook for this list. I think this came from the official Pokemon YouTube channel where they cooked up an example list of what a Greninja EX could be like, and they've got it set up as 3 Urshifu EX with the Pidgeot engine and then a Blood Moon Ursaluna as an endgame attacker. We also have that Rock Plate chest to take less damage, the Unfair Stamp, and we even have some of the new Boomerang energy, which we're going to talk about in a sec, which goes so well with this Greninja EX, and some double turbo energy to potentially get this rolling in only 2 attachments. So I don't know if this is going to be the definitive way to play. Probably not, but this is definitely an awesome starting point for cooking up a Greninja list. Sinistcha EX is a new one. It is a stage 1, and it's got the attack Infusion Retribution for 1 colorless energy. Choose one of your opponent's Pokemon, put 2 damage counters on that Pokemon for each grass energy in your discard pile, then shuffle those energy cards back into your deck. If you've got 10 grass energy in your discard pile, you can do 200 snipe damage, which is that's incredibly nice. And the other thing is that Jirachi can't stop this because Sinistcha EX is a evolution Pokemon. Cannot block this at all. Where it gets kind of awkward is that how are you getting all of that grass energy in the discard pile? That feels kind of awkward to me. And then once you do this attack, you have to put the energy back in, so you can't really follow up with it. But potentially as a one-of include in a grass deck, this could be kind of cool. Along with that Sinistcha, we got 2 Poltergeists. This first one has an abysmal 30 HP and a horrible attack, but it has an awesome ability, Shadowy Concealment, where it can't take bench damage. So getting yourself your own personal Manaphy on this Poltergeist is awesome. It definitely needs it because 30 HP is terrible. The other one has 40 HP, which is also terrible, but it's better than the other one. However, I don't like its moves nearly as much. T-Prep lets you grab a grass energy from the discard pile and put it into your hand, or surprise attack 30 on a coin flip. Neither of these are good enough. I reluctantly say that this one's the better one, even though 30 HP is awful. It's to the point where Charmander, there's at least 1 Charmander in the format that can knock this out with 1 energy, and that's going to feel terrible. But the bench protection, I think, is going to be amazing. So maybe we run some mix of both of these in a Sinistcha deck, but the not having the ability here sucks, but then the 30 HP is awful here as well. We did get a basic Sinistcha as well. Not a basic, but a non-rule box Sinistcha. Its first attack, Curse Droplets, lets you put 4 damage counters on your opponent's Pokemon in any way you like. 4 for 1, and not necessarily the worst, but not great. I do like its second attack though. For 1 grass energy, Matcha All Out does 70 damage. Well, discard up to 3 basic grass energy cards from your Pokemon in play, and this attack does 70 damage for each card discarded this way. So you are doing upwards of 210 damage with a single prizer. This will one-shot Tera Charizard EX. Getting the energy into play might be kind of weird depending on the deck. Like, I guess you could do something like Arceus, like you could tech this into an Arceus deck that's also running grass energy. You could use Gardenia's Vigor to get that energy on there. There are some ways to do it. I do like the attack. If you can find a way to get the energy on there consistently, this could be great. Monkey Dory is one of the loyal 3. We're actually going to talk about all 3 of the loyal 3 right now. This one has the ability Adrenaline Brain, where once during your turn, if this Pokemon has any darkness energy attached to it, you may move up to 3 damage counters from one of your Pokemon to one of your opponent's Pokemon. So getting the dark energy on there, and sort of like Radiant Alakazam, but Alakazam moves the energy from one of your opponent's Pokemon to another one. This one, you're actually healing yourself and moving it to one of your opponent's Pokemon. So there could be some synergy there with like a Gardevoir where you get a little bit extra healing. And then its attack is terrible. Really, it's here for the ability, and it's kind of a cool ability. I do like that it's a little more passive once you get the dark energy attached. So I do see this. It could get some play here and there. You could tech this into a Gardevoir deck, and it's not bad. Pheasantipity has some very distinct pros and cons. Its ability, Adrenaline Pheromones, where if it has any dark energy attached to it, and if any damage is done to this Pokemon by attacks, flip a coin, and if heads, prevent that damage. So getting to potentially tank a hit is really nice. And its attack, Energy Feathers, does 30 damage for each energy attached to this Pokemon. Normally, you're doing maximum 150 damage if you can get 5 energy on there. You could put something like a Hero's Cape or a Luxurious Cape on there to bring the HP up to 220, at which point you're doing 300 damage. And then you could use something like a Moonlit Hell or the Monkey Dory to heal damage, and then you put another energy on there in order to do, actually no, it's for each damage for each energy. Okay, so you're gonna tap out at about 300. I could screw up the math here. It feels like 300's a little too short of one-shotting a Charizard, which is kind of awkward, but you get the trade-off of, yes, you can tank a hit. However, it's also like you have to get the dark energy in there as well. It's a little awkward, and I've been alluding this whole time, you could tech this in to a Gardevoir deck with stuff like a Luxurious Cape or a Hero's Cape. It's almost like Brainwave Gardevoir, but it damage is a little worse, and you can tank a hit, but having to put the item of the tool card on there to also get the HP up it feels like there's too many steps here. And I think people will definitely play with it and try it out, and maybe it does become a one-of attacker, or maybe even a multiple copies of this card into Gardevoir, but I'm not sure this is quite enough to get Gardevoir back into prominence. All of these loyal 3 have some sort of ability with dark energy, and this one, Okidogi, is no different. When you attach a dark energy on there, you get plus 100 HP, and you do 100 more damage to your opponent's active Pokemon. So getting this up to 230 on a single prizer, really nice. Doing an extra 100 damage, nice. You're definitely going to need it, because Oki Punch for 2 fighting for 70 damage is terrible by itself. 170 is a lot better, and you are going to be able to one-shot some dark Pokemon as well as Arceus V-Star with this. But having to get 2 fighting energy and a dark on it, it just feels like it's a little too much. I mean, there might be some ways to dark patch to a dark Pokemon and then energy switch. It feels a little too awkward to use, but if you can figure out a way to get the dark energy on here as well as the fighting energy consistently enough, this could be great. Survival Cast is a new A-Spec card where if this Pokemon this card is attached to has full HP and would be knocked out by damage from an attack from your opponent's Pokemon, that Pokemon is not knocked out and its remaining HP becomes 10. Then discard this card. Being able to survive a hit can be absolutely massive. We're just basically negating one of your opponent's turns and slowing down the game just a little bit so that your key attacker can stay alive a little longer could be great. Now, the big challenge here, of course, is Lost Vacuum. The Lost Vacuum can just wipe this away, and then you're screwed. A year from now, when Lost Vacuum is gone, theoretically, this could be amazing, but there probably will be some other tool removal going forward, even if it's not Lost Vacuum. Still, the ability to potentially tank a hit when you otherwise wouldn't have been able to do so is intriguing. I don't think most decks will use this, but I think there are a couple that will consider using this one. Hyper Aroma lets you find 3 Stage 1 Pokemon from your deck and put them into your hand. Again, not every deck is going to use this, but there are a couple of decks that will be licking their lips at the thought of getting this card into their deck, including a Goldengo is one. You just get 3 Goldengo EXs and you're basically set up for the rest of the game. Awesome. Gardevoir could play this. Now, Gardevoir has a bunch of good options for A-spec cards, but being able to get all 3 Kirlia in one go is nuts. And then any sort of Matang deck with that Metal Maker ability, getting 3 Matang set up and then being able to dig through the next 12 cards and attach any metal energy you find there, absolutely nuts. So again, this card is not going to be for every deck, but there are a couple of decks that will absolutely love Hyper Aroma. Lana's Assistance lets you put 3 in any combination of Pokemon that don't have a rule box and basic energy cards from your discard pile into your hand. This is sort of a replacement for Clara. Now, Clara lets you get 2 Pokemon and 2 energy, and for the most part, Lana's Assistance is a little worse than Clara. However, we don't have Clara anymore, and this is our next best get. And in certain ways it's worse. The rule box stipulation does suck, so you're not going to be able to get any sort of EX or V or even Radiant Pokemon back, which is unfortunate. But you can get 3 non-rule box Pokemon, or you can get 3 energy from your discard pile back into your hand. Having that flexibility is nice in certain decks, like say Lost Box, which runs a lot of non-rule box Pokemon anyway, would definitely want to see a card like Lana's Assistance. So I think this will see some play here and there. Carmine is a very cool card. If you go first, you can play this card during your first turn. You discard your hand and draw 5 cards. Now, for after the first turn, you can still use this card. Discarding your hand and drawing 5, it's a worse Professor's Research, but you can play this first. And being able to dig deeper into your deck on turn 1 is really nice, being able to, just get more cards and get set up faster. I don't necessarily think you want to run 4 copies of this because it's worse Professor's Research, but 1 or 2 could be great. And you could also compare it and contrast with Squawkabilly, where Squawkabilly is similar. Although Squawkabilly lets you get 6 cards, the trade-off is that Squawkabilly is a 2 prize liability that you're going to have to keep on the board, and if your opponent knocks that out, you're screwed. Versus Carmine, you play this and you just get your reset hand and you don't have to put any sort of liabilities on the board. But the other way to look at it is you can play Squawkabilly and Carmine, and then you're digging 11 cards deep on turn 1. And certain decks are going to absolutely love this combo. So this doesn't necessarily need to be an either or. This actually could be both, and it could be awesome. Kieran has 2 different things you can do here. The first one is switch your active Pokemon with one of your bench Pokemon. Switch on a supporter doesn't necessarily feel great. In a worst case scenario, you need a switch. This is all you've got. It's fine. Its second part, though, is great. During this turn, your Pokemon's attacks do 30 more damage to your opponent's active Pokemon EX or active Pokemon V. And this is before applying weakness or resistance. And that plus 30 damage boost is going to mean a lot for a ton of different decks. And I can definitely see this card seeing play. Plus 30 damage as a modifier is awesome. And hitting against Pokemon EX or V, like, that's pretty much the majority of the meta right now. So I definitely see this seeing play because just plus 30 damage is so good. And then there's other modifiers in the meta right now, Defiance Band, Maximum Belt, and so on, that getting a plus 30 is just really nice. Bug Catching Set is a nice item card for grass decks. Look at the top 7 cards of your deck and you can choose up to 2 in any combination of grass Pokemon and basic grass energy cards you find there, reveal them and put them into your hand. Now, you could also just run Earthen Vessel to get 2 energy, and in certain cases, Earthen Vessel is going to be the better of the 2, but this gives you the flexibility of finding grass Pokemon, including evolution grass Pokemon. So you could use this instead. Yes, you are looking at the top 7 cards. You might brick from time to time, but the versatility can't be ignored. And if you're running a grass deck, especially one with Gardenia's Vigor, this is a card to consider for sure. Besides Gardenia's Vigor, this also pairs well with Ogerpon EX, where its Teal Dance ability attaches energy from the hand. So you can use that Bug Catching Set to grab energy, plus grab any other grass Pokemon that you may need. Boomerang Energy is very cool. It counts as colorless energy, and if this card is discarded by the effect of an attack used by the Pokemon this card is attached to, attach this card from your discard pile to that Pokemon after attacking. So being able to just get that energy back is really nice for a couple of Pokemon. For example, Radiant Greninja, where you can do 90-90, you have to discard an energy, but if you can get that energy back, you not only have to attach a water energy to attack again. Now, it's kind of unfortunate that Radiant Greninja only has 130 HP and it's probably not going to survive the next turn. However, In certain cases, maybe they switch out to a different target and you can attack with Greninja again. We also have Garchomp EX. It's Sonic Dive attack for 2 colorless energy. Maybe you get 2 boomerang energy on here, and now you have a 120 damage snipe attack, and you can just detach that energy and then reattach both boomerangs back to Garchomp EX. And even if you just have to attach a fighting energy again, and you only get 1 boomerang on there, still cool. But I think this is best on the Greninja EX, where you're discarding 2 energy, and if one of those is the boomerang energy, the second one is just the water energy that you can then reattach for turn on the following turn. And 310 HP on that Greninja is incredibly high, and most things aren't going to be able to one-shot that, so really good chance you can snipe again. Ting-lu has the attack Ground Crack, where if there's a stadium in play, this attack does 30 damage to each of your opponent's bench Pokemon. Then discard that stadium. And its hammer and attack is terrible, but I want to believe that it works with Ting-lu EX. Ting-lu EX was a deck that I loved for about 2 weeks, and then it completely fell off the face of the earth. Its ability is very cool, but the fact that EX Pokemon are becoming more and more popular means that shutting off abilities on non-Roblox Pokemon, Radiant Pokemon, Pokemon V is just less relevant and growing less relevant by the day. But this Ting-lu lets you get the damage on all of your opponent's Pokemon. Turn 1 going second, 30 damage is not a bad amount of damage to do. And maybe then you come in with the Ting-lu. I mean, this might be pure hopium, but I do see the synergy there, and I hope we can see Ting-lu find some footing. I actually have seen, going through the Japanese list, putting together the previews, which you should also check on the channel. There have been a couple of Ting-lu lists that have cracked top 16, so maybe there's still hope, a little bit of hope for Ting-lu EX. We have a new EV with Ascension, where you get to search your deck for a card that evolves from this Pokemon and put it onto this Pokemon to evolve it, then shuffle your deck. The evolution Pokemon we're getting so far, that they've shown so far, are not great, but I am flagging this because you can go into a EX evolution. And we do know there's a Sylveon EX on the way as part of a Japanese starter deck. So this is probably going to be the EV for all of those EX evolutions going forward. So far, we've seen Leafeon, which has the Leaflet Blessing, where you can attach a grass energy card from your hand to one of your bench Pokemon, and if you attached energy to a Pokemon in this way, you get to heal all damage from that Pokemon. I feel like this probably isn't gonna actually heal more often than not, because we're either too early in the game, or it just feels like a weird mid-game thing if you're trying to also heal damage off of a Pokemon, so I don't think this is particularly strong. Its second attack is terrible as well. Glaceon could be okay. Its Deep Chill does 30 damage, and at the end of your opponent's next turn, put 9 damage counters on the defending Pokemon. 120 after getting knocked out, maybe it's not the worst. However, you do have to evolve. It's a stage 1 Pokemon, and if you are using Ascension, you might just get blown up on the following turn anyway. And the whole 9 damage counters, if your opponent switches out, then the 9 damage is just negated and you don't get to put those on at the end of the turn. So not really great here, but looking forward to what sort of combinations will be possible with this Ascension attack on Eevee going forward. Whew, that was a ton of cards to look at, but I'm glad we were able to cover all of these today. What do you think of these? Are you excited for the new Ogerpon, the new Greninja, any of the new trainer cards? Let me know in the comments below. But for now, I gotta get going. Thank you so much for watching. You can find me on all the things: YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram at InThirdPerson. You can find me on Twitch at InThirdPerson, where I stream the Pokemon trading card game every Sunday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. I missed this past Sunday, I know. I should be back, fingers crossed, this upcoming Sunday for some post-rotation action. And check out the website, inthirdperson.com, for more articles and videos on video games, board games, and other nerdy pursuits. So until the next one, I'll see you later. Bye-bye.